Hi, Fraser.
Hello.
So what are we doing today?
We're doing the legs and the dregs.
What?
Okay, so it's like semi-double entendre territory, right? Because legs, well, okay, first of all, dregs makes you think of, probably alcohol or something, right? Like the sediment, the stuff at the bottom, the bar mat,
Okay.
the bad stuff. And
Okay.
then
Yeah, I get that.
legs, if something has legs, then usually it means like it's going places. It's good. It's gonna last. But also for wine, legs is very good, right? Because it's the legs of the wine on the side of the wine glass,
Oh yeah, when you swirl it or whatever, and then you can
Exactly.
get.
Yeah,
Or
so boom.
that was kind of a reach. I'm not
Whatever.
gonna lie. Okay.
I think
So
dregs is always not, it's slower, bad, not as great.
yeah, you don't want to get the dregs of something, but legs. I'm like, are
Legs is
you?
always good. Who doesn't like legs? It's going places. It's good. It has, if something has legs, I don't, maybe my grandparents just said that a lot. I don't know. That thing has legs, like it's good.
I was like, are you? I keep on thinking
It's
like, is your
lasting.
grandpa? It's lasting. I'm like, is
Yeah.
your grandpa checking out women's legs? And then he's like, legs. Like, but I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right.
No, it's just, yeah, it's like bring back swell. Swell's a good word that means something good too. Legs, same thing. I don't know. Anyway, move on.
Okay. Well, this is the dregs, not the legs. I appreciate your efforts every month, though.
It's gonna change every time. So if you're bored with this month, then wait.
And then you're gonna come on like one day and you're gonna be like, I can't. Like,
No,
I just can't.
believe in me.
Okay, I do. I was ready for this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so we're starting with the dregs. Do you want to start? I'm gonna go most least dreggy to most dreggy. Like I felt like I'm saying least drugs to most drugs, but no, I'm saying like least favorite to most
Also,
least worst to most worst. There you go. That's what I was going for.
I'll go with the same, I think. Yeah. So
Okay.
the worst so far is
Oh,
Hannibal Rising. See, it's
wow.
rising.
Okay. I was like in anticipation for that one. I was like, what
Yeah.
is it? What
This
Thomas Harris book did you dislike? Okay. So why
yeah,
did it make this list?
it is, so I guess I should have seen this coming in some way because I have seen all of the movies and the movies have been pretty close to the books. And this is no different, yet I was hoping that it wouldn't be, basically. The movie is okay, but it's very Hollywood, very kind of pedestrian, and very like in Silence of the Lambs, for instance, I think it's like almost feminist. Like he's very considerate of the female perspective, what he's doing with it, and he's even like talking about trans people and like demystifying or outright stating things about trans people that you think are probably untrue in here and stuff. This
Right.
is like the opposite. Like it's not disparaging towards women, but it's very orientalist. It's very like he has a stepmom who he's like in love with, and she's like a Japanese flower who's very gentle, and she has like in armor and prays to her ancestors and has a sword and all this kind of stuff. And it pretty much is exactly like the movie blow by blow. Like there's no differences. Being in his head grants like no more than the screen would have given you insight to him either. Whereas Silence of the Lambs, it was the opposite of that. Like I got so much more out of inhabiting Starling's perspective. Whereas this, it's just the exact same stuff happens, and the internal life of Hannibal is like blah. Like it's nothing. It's like it's more about like showing than doing. So I imagine he would have been influenced possibly by the screen adaptations and maybe gone that way in his writing.
Weird.
Or it was sold to the publisher in that way already, like before he even wrote it. I wonder if there was a deal in place where it was like, this is going to be a movie, and if he didn't write the screenplay, it would not be difficult to be derived from this, because everything is very like exposition heavy, verbalized rather than no internalization, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It sounds like he went from sort of breaking down stereotypes to like totally
playing into
stereotyping. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's the minor reveal of you finding out why Hannibal is the cannibal, but I already knew that because I saw the movie. So
Oh,
yeah.
bummer. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like you had such a good time with the other books. It's not too bad.
Mhm.
Um, well, my first book, I love the book. I really enjoyed the book. I just
Mhm.
didn't love the way I felt towards the main character. And we
Oh.
actually read it together. It was Frankenstein by Mary
Oh
Shelley.
yeah. That guy was such a
Oh,
jerk.
oh my gosh. I just like his whining. I was just like, I cannot even with you. Like I want to hurl you across the room. I just couldn't. So the reason is that Frankenstein, he sort of starts off with this really interesting question of what would it mean to play God? And that question in and of itself is so big and so interesting that like I was really here for it. And then he like plays God and plays himself because he's like, I don't like being God. And then he spends sort of the rest of the time just like feeling sorry for himself. And I like couldn't stand him. Now I've heard since then that there have been people that are like me and they like, the book is a good book, but they're like, yeah, Frankenstein's just an awful wretch. And I was like, thank God. Like, please, thank you. Yeah. I don't know. Did you feel that deeply about Frankenstein, or am I just like kind of over here doing things?
Yeah, like I was grateful that we read it over time, because I did not want to spend a whole bunch of time in that guy's head where he's just constantly making excuses. It's very illustrative of like white male privilege, though, if you want to read that, because he's just
Mm-hmm.
like, all these terrible things are happening to other people and I feel sad. I'm like, yeah, it's your fault, asshole. Yeah. Like, connect the dots.
I know, I know. And then like I feel like he had these opportunities to come clean, and then he was like, "Oh no, I won't because no one will believe me." And I'm just like, "Okay, like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, making excuses for yourself, jerk." Like I just
Yeah.
like I couldn't stand him. And then when we got to, there's definitely a part where we are in the the mind of the character, the creature, and I was like really loving that. So it was really more, I think it was a testament to like Mary Shelley's writing. She's obviously a talented writer. I just hate, which you're supposed to, but like I hated Frankenstein with a
Super
fiery
effective.
passion. I know it was like too effective. I look at that I'm like, oh, but it was. I mean, it was a great book. Great book. I just like
Yeah.
couldn't believe how much I disliked Frankenstein. So
Yeah.
the character.
That's like a Elon Musk book, right? Where he's very famous for dropping book recommendations where he's completely misconstrued the actual intention of the book. Where he's just like, "Oh yeah, this book is amazing." I'm like, "This book is about how people like you are terrible and you love it." Cool. Yeah.
Well,
Elon Musk is just Shelley's going on. She's like, "This is for you, Dad. I based the character on you." And he's, "I love this book." That's Elon Musk.
oh gosh. Well, yeah, yeah. That was just. It was just a ride. I didn't think I would have that reaction to the character until I was actually in it, and then it carried on, and I was like, Jesus, this guy is horrible. Yeah. So anyway, so what's your next book?
Well, next one I don't have,
Okay.
thankfully.
Oh my gosh.
uh,
Okay.
the
Wow.
next
Geez.
one is The Last White Man by Mohsin Hamid.
Oh yeah.
And that is because I retained absolutely nothing. Like, to this, I no idea what it's about, basically,
What?
because the author narrated it himself, and that was a bad decision because it was just like a river runs through it. If it wasn't a 2-hour audiobook, like I probably wouldn't have finished it, but because it was so short, I was like, okay, let's see what I retain of this. Nothing. I retained nothing. It was just
Wow.
I've heard that on the page his sentences are very like excellently put together, very long, and dedicated to the cadence and rhythm and rhyme and stuff, but he doesn't read it like that. So it becomes very just like monotone, whatever. And it just absolutely just washes right through me. So I was just like, well, I guess, maybe I'll try this on like this, on paper at some point. Not this book, probably, but one of his other ones or something. Exit
Sure.
West is
Sure.
supposed to be good. But
Oh,
yeah, the audiobook is not where it's at. Like, deleted.
well, yeah, I know that was something that book reviewers have talked about, like written book reviewers. It's like you write the review so close to when you read it that you actually don't have the time to reflect and be like, oh, that book actually stayed with me. And so you don't get that, but it seems like you already know this book didn't stay with you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Some
yeah.
stuff happened. I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
sorry. That's terrible.
Mm.
Was it anyways, my my next book is definitely going to stay with me because it
Oh.
was traumatizing. And I realized again, it's not a bad book. I want to be really clear. Like Frankenstein is not a bad book. I just had a lot of feelings towards it. This is not a bad book, but I realized that these kinds of books are not for me, and this is the fourth kind that I've read this year, and each time it's bothered me to the point where I kind of lose sleep a little bit. So it's Bastard Out of Carolina, but by Dorothy Allison. So,
Hold on.
yeah. Well, well, we read this together too. We read it with our Up to No Good book club, and I think Sandy said it best. She said that there's a lot of trauma drama, and that is true. And I'm going to, if you want to go in blind, then skip 20 seconds ahead. But the problem with this is that there's a sexual assault to a minor that is detailed so intensely that when I got to that part, it really just shook me up. And then after that, it just felt like I couldn't trust the author because it was too, for me, it was definitely a me thing. It was too much. It was like I just didn't need to know all of those details, and I just yeah. So even after that, it was like I tried to reinvest myself, but I was like not too much because I don't know what's ahead. So yeah, I just had a hard time with it, and it was kind of a bummer because it's a South Carolina, which is where I'm at, the South Carolina classic. Dorothy Allison is from this area, or from the surrounding area. I had a hard time with this one.
Yeah, I've read quite a few books with that subject, and it still was like a gut punch of a book numerous
This one,
times throughout it. Yeah, yeah. Like to some degree, there's a little bit of foreshadowing, but yeah, she makes it very visceral and raw, which is a decision. Yeah.
yeah, I think it is. I don't know. I just have noticed for me a trend, and I think it's probably because I have small children and I don't want to like when you worry about your own children, you don't really want your mind to go there because I don't want to worry about them. And so anyway, so I think just sexual assault to a minor is just not my thing. It makes me feel like the adult doing the predator is literally like this monster and that he's like living like right around the corner or something, and I hate that feeling. I hate it. So yeah, not for me. I'm sorry, Allison.
It reminds me when maybe 10 years ago or something, my brother got my mom all the young bones, all the little bones, that book.
Oh, Lovely Bones.
Yeah, all the lovely bones, yeah. And my mom kind of like picked it up and read the back, and she was like, I can see why you would think I would like this, but I will never read it. Like, she's
Yeah,
like, I
I
just
read
don't
that
want to
too.
know about little kids dying, basically.
Yeah, it's just it's hard. Like it's just yeah, I don't know. I read that as as like a late teen or like early 20s, and it wasn't, that big of a deal then, but I feel like now I would just be horrified by it. So, yeah. Yeah. What's your worst book this month?
My worst book is, I have to look up, Miyazakiworld: A Life in Art by Susan J. Napier.
Oh, the
And
Hayao Miyazaki book.
yeah, this is a book where, like, I have seen a bunch of those movies, by all means not as many as I thought I had, because she goes into great detail spoiling them all. So if you haven't seen literally every single one of his movies, you
And
should
we're
not
talking
read this
like
book.
My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service,
Princess
yeah,
Mononoke,
yeah. hmm
yeah,
Castle
all
in the
those books.
Sky, Howl's Moving
Yeah,
Castle. Yeah.
every single one of them she goes into as well, because it's very much like her making sense of his process and his methods and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's a very deep analysis. And what I came to realize quite quickly was that I just do not care at all about that, because it's very like, I guess I've always been a subjective reader, and I want to take away what I take away from these things. And it's nice that she has compiled, and collated all this data, and she's hypothesizing about these things with many, many quotes of his interviews throughout the years and stuff like that. So in a way, it's an amazing achievement that she's done this. And I think it would be a very good book for people super into that. But for me, I'm just sort of like, I love Princess Mononoke and I like a few of the other movies, but I've never been like, whoa, this blows my mind or anything like that.
Sure.
And I just didn't, I guess, realize how much of a deep dive, how granular it was going to be about his actual life as well, and the
Oh.
regurgitation of things that he has said. So, and it was an audiobook as well. So it's very like, I don't know. It was free on Audible Plus, so I lost nothing, but I DNF'd it, and I was just, yeah, I found out that it was a subject I thought I would care about, but cared nothing for at all.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. And then actually I found out that Miyazaki is like basically, and he's like, what am I? He's like, I'm like basically anti-American. He's like, I'm anti-coffee, anti-hamburger, anti-fast food culture, anti like work hustle culture. Like, I mean, he's like very he's got his own mindset. But I also started reading a book of essays of his interviews, and I don't know if it was the translation or what, but I also struggled to be interested in what he was saying about his work. I feel like it translates really well on film, but I don't know if him talking about his process is exactly what I wanted to get from that book of articles and interviews. So it was kind of interesting. But
Yeah. Was that
I'm sorry.
the running one where he's always
Mm-mm.
running? Something. Oh,
No,
okay.
that's what I talk about but that's the Haruki Murakami book.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Murakami. Definitely want to know what he thinks about stuff.
No.
Not. Yeah, I
No,
know
I
what
don't
you think
either.
about. It's women's breasts.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. Okay, moving on to something that was very awful and I had a lot of feelings. And this is not this book. My worst book of the month is not a this is a good book and it's amazing. No, no, this is just a horrible, horrible book. And it is Colleen Hoover's Verity, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
I
As soon as you said you were reading this, I was like, okay, if you want to inflict that on yourself, you do that.
I think so what happens is that like the popular book world out there, like when I go into a bookstore, like if I'm ever on TikTok or if I'm on Instagram or something like that, like if I'm out there sort of immersing myself in book culture, like popular book culture, there are some names that tend to call to me. And I was like, Colleen Hoover, what are you all about, girl? I want to know. And so I embarked on this experiment, inspired by TikTok, and it was a very regrettable one. It was awful. It was awful. It was so bad.
Yeah,
Like I was like,
you even made
oh,
a video about it.
I know. I mean, I did. It was funny. It was good. I'll leave that link down below. But I guess it's like there's like suspending your disbelief, and then there's just like Colleen Hoover. It's like here's belief, and then there's suspending it, and then over here is Colleen Hoover, and I was just like, I can't with you, girl. I can't with you. So
yeah, she's so far past the line. The line is a dot to her.
And also it's just like I didn't like any of her characters. I didn't think her character work was good. I didn't think her plotting was good. There was just nothing in it that really that was worth anything. And then here I am, and like people are going crazy about this. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Have you read a book before? Like it was just like
mainstream hype is real. It's a drug. It's a hell of a drug.
It really is. And so I'm resisting the mainstream right now. I'm sure something will get in and amongst me eventually, but right now I'm like, stay away.
Yeah, you're out in the creek with Annie Dillard.
I really am. I'm reading Ring of Bright Water right now. It's so good. I'm literally out in Hemispherna in the northern Northern.
Spoilers for next month.
I don't know. Maybe it won't make it my best for next month. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe your nonfiction November will be lit.
I think I will. I wonder if I'll even have a flop. I don't know. All right. Well, that's it from us. Tell us the worst books that you've read this month.
The Dregs.
The Dregs. Go to Fraser's channel for the legs. That's where they'll be.
Yeah.
Us humans with our legs and killing it over there with our best books. So
The Lasting.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. All right, bye.